from, actually, it was a broken computer desk from someone who was throwing it away. I repaired it with a few planks of wood, and now it's in good shape. Yes, so that works. It was a free desk. It was broken. Now it's not. And now my son has a computer desk for my ancient Windows 98 machine. It's all he needs. It plays Winnie the Pooh preschool. That's all he really needs.
How old is your kid?
He's 4. And he really enjoys that game. You should hear him coming out. He knows what 2 colors make a third color, but he still comes out to ask us. So he'll come out and say green. We say yellow and blue. Yellow and blue. Yellow and blue. Go back to the game, put in yellow and blue. He enjoys it very much, so it's all he really needs. Yes?
Your neighbors there, so the density around your house is pretty much the same as on your property?
Street side, well, the density is pretty much the same. Street side, we look like a standard subdivision. It's just that due to the rectangular nature of our lots, we just have 5 times as much backyard as anyone else would. So our neighbors are just as close to us as your neighbors are to you. Except a lot of people in Lake LA do a very good job of keeping to themselves. It seems to be a popular pastime up there. Don't bother your neighbors, then they won't bother you. We have so I really have only met a few of the neighbors, barely. I managed to catch them at the right moment. Went to the town council meetings. Now, that's something we have different up there. We have town councils for unincorporated townships. They have absolutely no authority. All they have is the ear of our county commissioner, Mike Kantanovich. And boy, are those town council meetings an interesting spectacle. All of the really unbalanced people seem to come out for those. It's because everyone expects the town council to be able to do something, and they all want it done their way, and none of them seem to know. None of our town council members have read Robert's Rules of Orders, by the way. I could tell after watching it. I had to stand up and yell out, I called for the orders of the day in order to remind them that this was question and answer period, not give a 5-minute speech period. So most of the time you don't meet your neighbors unless you actually go out and specifically look for places to meet them. Just don't go to the town council because that's where they're all crazy. But overall, people do keep to themselves. So even if my next door neighbor did see us drilling a well, odds are he wouldn't care. Because on one side we have a trucker who is annoyed at the town council because they are trying to ban parking semis on your lot. We have 1 acre. It goes back 1,000 feet. No, more than 1,000 feet. Who cares if you're parking a semi on there? You could park 3 semis in a row on those lots, but the town council wants to ban it, and they're trying to create a community standards. On another side, we have a guy who seems to have a junk storage business. He has people come in and drop stuff off or pick stuff up. It all looks like junk to me, but apparently he stores it for them. Another side, we have a neighbor who never leaves her house. Doesn't even go out in the garden, just stays in the house all day and all night. So, really, it's very peaceful, and I have a feeling that none of those 3 would give a damn if they saw me drilling a well. Yes?
In the scenario of lost electricity, how would you fare?
Well, in terms of where I'm at right now, which is not where I want to be, not yet. So I only moved out to the farm shortly before Halloween. So we haven't even been there a full year yet, although we have had a spectacular potato harvest, but the corn did not do very well. So we have not yet gotten backup supplies for electricity. We're almost there for water, but not there for electricity. Which is why the long-term goal, perhaps 8 to 10 years down the road, is to get the solar power much later. And maybe if finances go our way for a little while, we can try getting a backup generator. But unfortunately, this year was a little tough because our air conditioner decided to kick the bucket. It was a combined AC heating system. Cost $12,000 to replace it. Yes, that's what I said. And then, after all was said and done, it left us a parting gift by tripling our power bill in its last month.
the wind. You talked about that briefly.
Yes, I have not yet researched the cost of putting in a windmill.
I understand it's comparable to
solar?
PV.
Yeah, it probably is comparable to solar. The reason it's good up there is because we have an abundance of wind. I can look into it. I saw a question over here.
How old is the house?
My house was built in 1984. Not old, not very old. Back then, Lake LA actually had a lake because they'd filled it up in order to attract people to move in. But once they failed to attract the yuppie clientele, they let it dry up.
I was just wondering if you could at some point, won't you need to have your septic tank cleaned out?
Yes, and we found the ports for that. We just haven't found the tank itself. Yes.
Have you tried asking the company you would call to drain the tank?
We have thought about that, but haven't gotten around to it yet. We figure that when it's time to pump the tank, we'll ask them then. Yes.
Other than the amount of water that it required, what other surprises did you have that you weren't anticipating?
That squirrels love grape leaves. That the squirrels in the Antelope Valley live underground. Ground squirrels. We found their warren. We sprinkled squirrel bait on it. That the prior tenants, the prior owners of our home did not know how to put in a fence. We used 2 40-pound bags per fence post. They used 1 40-pound bag per 2 fence posts. And the fence did not stay up. Finding that another prior occupant of our house decided that it was better to bury their trash than to contract out to waste management.
Good idea.
Yeah, well, you got an acre, do something with it. That's what they thought was the best use. The interesting thing is finding out what grows and what doesn't and trying to learn when to plant. Now, there's a book I would recommend called The Encyclopedia of Country Living. It is a very, very good book, and it will teach you a little bit about everything about a farm. It doesn't go in depth, but it tells you a little of everything, and it gives you resources towards more in-depth information.
Is that country living?
Encyclopedia of Country Living. I'm obviously not going to use the chapter on cows, but I am going to use the section on goats. It tells you, and it has links to further resources, and it does tell you about planting and using the products of a farm. I also have got a book from Lowe's specifically on planting, and we go to the seed company websites. By the way, seed catalogs are still free. Get them while they're hot. And they tell you what grows in your zone, and they tell you what zone you're in. So go to Burpee and go to Park Seed. Go to all the seed companies right now while the seed catalogs are still free and get a copy of them.
Have you checked out Bountiful Gardens? Yvonne's website?
No, I have not. Bountiful Gardens.
Are you tilling the soil by hand with a shovel?
No, I have an electric rototiller.
Oh, electric?
Yes, electric. My grandmother promised to give me a gas one and then said she'll give it to me after she gets it fixed, and we haven't seen it since. But we do have an electric one. We got it at a discount because there are people who will buy a product from either an electronics store or a hardware store, use it once, and then turn it in for a full refund. And while that's not very ethical, it results in good deals for me when I buy the second-hand rototiller. I see him nodding. You're familiar with people who do that.
That sort of thing. And certainly almost none of that kind of thing should you ever buy new.
But since I was able to go to the Home Depot and I saw that they had an electric rototiller, pre-owned, probably used once, probably turned in for a full refund once the job was done, I figured that the price at about 50% off was a very good price, and that's what I wanted. So I use it. It plugs in. It needs a utility extension cord, which is the same 120, but it's got a plug that can handle, that is specifically designed to handle the heavy, to plug into heavier load equipment, so you don't use your household standard one. It works very well. I have a long cord for it. I need a long cord.